All right, my friends, let me illustrate to you in this video why I believe that we are heading down a path that has disastrous consequences for everyone involved. Listen to this video and then leave me your thoughts in the comments. So when I was young and learning about the Holocaust in elementary and middle school and high school, like we all did in America, I remember even at the time thinking to myself, when I would see these pictures of the Jews being carted away to extermination camps, or there was one picture, I might try to find it, but that stood out to me more than others. And it was a picture of a long line of Jewish people standing in line, literally waiting to be exterminated. There was a building with a smokestack coming off of it, and they were being murdered in this building. The Jews were being murdered and then burned. And the Jews were standing in line. And there was just a handful of guards with guns. And I remember thinking at the time, why don't they do something? Why don't they revolt? Why don't, there's like 1,000 of them and there's like 10 guards. Why don't they grab the guns and run and revolt? Because they're literally about to be murdered and they can see this. So that made a very deep impression on me for a number of years, until many years later, I went to Germany, among many other places, but I went to Germany and I walked through the concentration camp, or I walked through a concentration camp called Terezin. It was actually in, I think, the Czech Republic, but I was staying in Germany at the time. And I was going to the concentration camp, and I went to all different kinds of museums and learned so much more in depth than I ever knew before. And it became apparent to me how this happened. It didn't happen all at once. They didn't come out with a law in pre-Nazi Germany, or when it was just beginning. They didn't come out with a law and say, okay, look, all of a sudden we're all going to hate Jews, and if you're Jewish, you got to get rounded up, you got to get on this train, and we're going to go murder everyone, okay? And then everyone's like, yeah, okay, yeah. That's not how it happened at all. It happened little by little, okay? It begun with the party, the Nazis, saying, we have a problem. Okay, we all have a problem as a nation, which they did at the time. They never really recovered from World War I, and they were in a severe depression. So Hitler and his administration came out and said, all right, look, we have a problem, but actually this we is more like us and them. So he created these two groups, and then he infected the psyche of the nation with the idea that there was an us, the German people, and a them, the sub-German people, that were the actual cause for our predicament. All right? And then the Nazis, masters at this, I mean literally masters at this psychology of the mind and behavioral science, they said, all right, we're going to demonize that group. It's actually, they're the reason that our economy is shit. They're the reason that we are miserable. They are the reason for it's them. They're the reason that we hate our life, that we hate ourselves. It's them. Okay? So he created this distinction. And once they started demonizing the group, then slowly but surely, they started taking their freedoms away. And this didn't happen all at once. This happened over 2 to 3 years, okay? To where new laws and new mandates and things began creeping in and being presented and saying, okay, well, look, they are the problem. In this case, the Jews. They've demonized them. They said, all right, they're the problem. The Nazis were saying, they're the problem, okay? So they cannot work in our businesses, all right? They cannot eat at our establishments.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We still have nearly 80 million Americans who have failed to get the shot. Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated.
They cannot get medical treatment at our medical establishments because the idea that they were subhuman, of a lower class than the German people, that idea had been incubated long enough where it was beginning to take root in the psyche of the nation. And so they all began saying, yeah, they are the problem. Well, they're taking all of our jobs, them Jews, and we're not going to allow them to eat at our restaurant, or we're not going to hire them. Or if we do have some, we're going to fire them because they're not part of us. Okay? Then, after some years of this going by, no doubt the German people began to get uneasy about this. They began to feel a bit uneasy because, of course, not every German was a Nazi. Not even close. Not every German was evil and dark inside. Not even close. Okay? So they were human, just like we are human. And so no doubt, as this is going on over these 2 to 3 years of the demonization and the persecution of one group over another, no doubt some of them were like, hey, whoa, okay, guys. I mean, this is cool and all, but don't you think we're taking this a little bit too far? I mean, come on. They're thinking, guys, all right, this is good enough. Let's just leave it at this, and we've gone far enough. We've persecuted them far enough. But by that point, it was too late. The infrastructure had already been established. They had already built the infrastructure that enslaved and imprisoned and killed the subgroup. Do you understand? So, by this point, it's too late. The trains roll into town, and the Nazis say, okay, they're the problem. They got to get on the train. We got to relocate them. Okay? We got to take them out. We're just going to take them out of society. Okay? They can't be a part of society. That's what the Nazis said. Well, they can't be a part of society because they're the problem. And so, by this point, if a German citizen had an objection, it was too late. Silence, or we will silence you. You understand? Because it had already incubated in the nation for too long. It had already been established, the infrastructure of this kind of tyranny. So that by the point anyone really realized the magnitude of what was going on, they couldn't say or do anything. Because the Jews had been persecuted, but also the German people were living in a total police state, absolutely dominated by the Nazis. So that everything they did was tracked and traced and monitored and policed. Everything they could not speak out against the party. If they did, they were silenced or censored in some way.
If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And by the way, show some respect.
So they were also living in an ultra-repressive regime. None of them, not the Jews nor the Germans, would have ever signed up for this if they had known this was the end game. Okay? So this brings us back to the pictures. So all of this has taken place, and now here we are at these pictures that we see of the Jews all lined up, waiting to get exterminated. Now I understand how this is possible, many years later. Because by the point we are seeing these pictures, the Jews had already been stripped of their dignity. They'd long been stripped of their freedoms. They could not work with the population. They could not eat. They could not get access to medical care. They could not be a part of society because they were classified as the problem. You understand? And so they had been, by the time you see in these pictures, they'd already been totally stripped of their dignity, of their humanity. They had been turned into animals in the collective psyche of Germany at that time. Now, the reason I'm telling you all of this is because we have to understand that it doesn't just happen from 0 to Nazi overnight. It's incrementalism. And if any of them could have seen the end result of what was coming, if they would have been able to see the signs of what was coming, they for sure would have said, okay, this ain't going to happen. We're not going to have this. Because they were human too, just like us. They had a heart just like us. They had a mind and a spirit. They had all of this just like us. They were not different in any fundamental way, other than that their mind became infected with an idea that there was different groups of people and that a certain group deserved persecution. Do you understand?
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe. Dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes. Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab, wenn ja.
So, what do I believe could have happened if they had seen it in enough time? They would have simply stopped complying. It's that unbelievably simple. To stop tyranny in its tracks, you must stop complying immediately. They would have said, when the Nazis said, well, they're the problem, then the people could have said, yeah, okay, well, that doesn't feel right. That's not really checking out with me. Then the Nazis would have said, well, then they can't own property, or they can't come into our stores because they're infecting the place. Then the people would have said, no, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Nazis, but we're not going to do that, okay? We're going to go ahead and keep serving them. We're going to keep our businesses open. We're not going to treat them any differently. We're not buying into your bullshit, Nazis. You see? They would have just stopped complying with all of it. If they didn't build their own enslavement, that would not have happened in that way. I'm talking everybody, the whole nation. Okay? So I hope that you can get the gist of what I'm saying here in this historical analysis. We must not allow history to repeat itself in any way. Because for sure, if they would have seen it coming, they would have stopped complying. They would have said, no, enough is enough. And we're not going to go down this road. If they would have collectively done that all at once, early enough, none of that would have happened. Leave me your thoughts. What do you think, guys? Share your thoughts. I want to know. Do you see tyranny around you? Do you see any kind of parallel in any way to this story that I just illustrated? Do you feel that we are heading down a very slippery slope, my friends? Leave me your thoughts.